Thank you all for being here today for the 2019 State of the Community. I'm Dan Culhane, President and CEO of the Ames Chamber of Commerce.
And I am Becky Coates. I'm with the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County.
And Becky and I are thrilled that you're all here today on this supposed blustery day. Special thanks to the Ames Community School District and their staff for hosting us in their administrative building this morning. We also want to thank Jeff's Pizza for providing today's lunch. Before I turn it over to Becky, I'd certainly like to take this opportunity to recognize some elected officials that are in the audience. Please hold your applause until all have been recognized. Please welcome former Iowa House member Teresa Garman, Ames City Councilwoman Gloria Betcher, Ames City Councilman David Martin, Ames Community School District Board of Director members Luke Deerdorf, Monique Benken, and Alan Bierbaum, and Mary Greeley Medical Center Board of Trustees Chair Sarah Buck, and Story County Board of Supervisors member Linda Merkin. Please join me in welcoming them.
So I'm Becky Coates. I'm co-president of the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County, and the League is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in the government and works to increase understanding of major public policy issues through education and advocacy. Today, we are happy to be joined by our panelists. President of the Ames Community School Board District, Directors Alisa Franson, Ames Mayor John Hala, Story County Board of Directors Supervisors Chair Loris Olson, Mary Greeley Medical Center President and CEO Brian Dieter, Iowa State University Senior Vice President and Provost Dr. Jonathan Wickert, and Des Moines Area Community College President Rob Denson. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. Now, a few housekeeping items. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes for opening remarks, followed by a question and answer session in which each individual will have 1 minute to respond to questions from myself, the audience, or Dan, and end with 1 minute for closing remarks from each panelist. Our timer, Brandon Munn, will keep us all on track. We now turn to our panel for their 5-minute opening statements, starting with Ames Community School Board President Alisa Franson.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all of you for being here today, and I want to extend my appreciation to the Chamber and to the League of Women Voters for providing this opportunity for all of us to speak to you and a chance to share about the great things that are going on within our respective areas. Our school district continues to have much to be proud of as we continue to put our students first and identifying ways to serve them within our system. First and foremost, Jenny Reisner, our superintendent, has been with us since July, and she really is bringing a passion for education and a commitment to meeting the needs of all of our students. She's been very engaged in our community and getting out into the schools to really understand all of our strengths and opportunities. So if you have not had an opportunity to meet Jenny, I encourage you to do so. She's been really wonderful to work with. One of the things that our board did a year ago when we were preparing to select a superintendent was to identify some priority areas that we felt were important for our district in moving forward. Upon Jenny's arrival, she led us through some work with our administrative team in building leadership so that we could really all collaborate and work to flush out those priorities and identify those goal areas to guide us in our work. It was a great opportunity for all of us to be on the same page as we look forward. Our 5 priorities that we've identified are educational equity and improvement, transparent financial planning and processes, recruitment, retention, and development of a high-quality staff, clear and consistent communication to support positive and proactive community relationships, and a safe and responsive system that promotes the mental health and well-being of every individual. These five priorities are guiding us in our meetings. We make sure that each agenda item identifies which priority it correlates to, and that's a way to hold us accountable as we provide direction for the district. Once again, I am reporting that we are continuing to grow as a school district. We are up 132 students this fall. 86 of those are residential, with 46 of them being additional open enrollment students. If you recall, last fall, we grew by 200 students. So this is certainly something for us to celebrate within our community. It's also something for us to be aware of as we are planning for our programs and such. We are keeping a close eye on our elementary schools because this increased enrollment has put some of those at or near capacity in different grade levels. And we really have we are really trying to address with our administrators and building leaders how we can address this, because we have an unsustainable process in how we are assigning kids in neighborhood schools and making sure that we get them, we have space for them when they move into those neighborhood schools. So we're really working on this as a team, trying to identify ways that we can move forward. A year ago, I got to talk to you about a bond referendum that was coming up in April, and you all responded, our community responded in a very positive manner, approving that bond referendum with an 84.77%. So we thank the community because you gave us a very clear direction on how to move forward in building a new high school. We completed our programming phase in the spring and into the summer, and then the board approved the schematic design at the end of September. We're currently in the design development phase, so our architects and construction managers are working on those final documents, which they will bring to the board for approval at the end of February. If you've not had a chance, I encourage you to go to our website and see some of the information that we have posted there. It is such an exciting time for us to see all of these conversations that we've had over the years come to fruition and see the design of what this school is going to look like. And so our bids will go out this spring with the goal of breaking ground this summer. So I really look forward to hearing questions from you. There's a lot of really positive things going on in the school district, and I think we can continue to be proud of all the things that our students and our teachers and staff are doing every day. Thank you.
Oh, you start?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, John?
Well, Councilman Martin and I were just commenting. It's hard to believe it was just a year ago that we were here and just getting our feet wet. And boy, the year went by fast, and I think we got a lot of things accomplished. So this morning or this afternoon, I'd like to just kind of hit 3 big points. 1, what's the state of the community? 2 are what are some of the challenges facing our community? And then 3 is what are some great opportunities ahead for Ames. So the state of the community of Ames continues to be extremely positive, and I attribute that to 2 different things. 1 is the people, and 2 is the accomplishments and the community growth that we're experiencing. To me, the most important thing is the people. First of all, we have great people that are engaged and are very interested in the community. This is witnessed by seeing sold out. I don't think I've seen that before, sold out on this event. Secondly, is I can't say enough about how proud I am and honored I am to work with the council. We have dedicated council members that put a tremendous amount of time in. They care about the community, and we also have outstanding staff that cares about the community as well too. 3 is that there's been a demonstrated commitment for collaboration amongst so many entities in this community. That's one of the things that I ran on and said was really important to basically work together. And that includes everybody behind the dais here today. Met several times with Elisa and Jenny, the medical board trustees, supervisors, DMAC, and as well as Iowa State. And that just has been enriching, and I think it's a great step in the direction to continue strengthening those relationships. And the last, which I'm very excited about, is that we're seeing a commitment of the next generations who are interested in leadership and getting engaged in the community. And that includes the students at Iowa State, which I'll talk about here in a second, young professionals of Ames, which are actually being rebranded, Leadership Ames, and a community academy. That truly makes me excited because we really need to be cultivating that and getting people engaged in the community. Secondly, accomplishments. Our city is really in excellent condition. Last year, the city portion of your taxes, a levy, actually went down in part because of the increased assessments, but also just through good fiscal sound management that staff has gone through. We continue to grow as a community. We have new retail, commercial, and hospitality projects that are currently under construction. We're investing in infrastructure. For those that may have been following, we're going to be actually tearing up Welch Avenue from Lincoln Way to Chamberlain and completely going from face of building to face of building. Significant investment. It's going to be inconvenient during the summertime, but something that is long overdue. For those of you who also may be aware, the Kmart property has been sold, and you're going to see redevelopment of that property, and we're going to see some very interesting things going on there. South Grand Extension, it is coming, and continued growth at the ISU Research Park. So what are some of the challenges? One is communication. The city works very hard to try and get out through various mediums what's going on in the community. But we still hear at times, we didn't know about this, we didn't hear about that. So that's something that we're going to be working on. Two is workforce. I'm just amazed in all the different events I went to. It's a continuing theme. We need more workforce. Housing, which includes both affordable and also entry level for young professionals. And the other thing is making Ames feel warm and welcoming to everyone who calls Ames homes, from students to people from all different walks of life. Now, this isn't just the only ones that we have, but those are ones that really kind of pop to the surface. And what are the opportunities? First of all, we have a comprehensive plan that the city is starting to undertake. On February 5th will be the first public forum. Please, please, please make it a priority to participate in that. We want to hear from everybody in the community. It's a chance to give us input, to give our consultants input. And it's going to set the direction where we're going for the next 1 to 2 decades. And so those that come and participate will help us understand what's important to the community. Secondly is SunSmart Ames, which is a solar project. We're about 60% of the shares sold, or the power packs sold. We need to get the rest of those sold so we can move that forward. 321 State Street, which is, we got a Tripp Street extension, so we're looking at redevelopment at that particular point. And the other thing, which I just want to close with, and I hope we talk about this, is the Healthy Life Center. This is a one unique opportunity for our community to really help intergenerationally meet the needs for healthy lifestyle. It's going to help with families, it's going to help with health, it's going to help with nutrition, and it's going to really strengthen our overall community. And back to workforce, I believe it's going to help strengthen and attract workforce. So I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Brian?
Good morning yet. It's still morning. I'm Brian Dieter. I'm President and CEO of Mary Greeley Medical Center, and I'm fortunate enough to have an award-winning community relations department at Mary Greeley. And so in a little bit different tack than what you've maybe seen, they have put together a video, 18 events that happened in 2018. I'm going to ask that that be shown, and then I'm going to come back and provide a little additional commentary on a few of those items. So if we could go to that video, please. Thank you. That's not my time, Brandon.
I'll remember that.
So as you could tell in the video, the Community Relations Department did in fact win gold for our publication Health Connect, which we mail to about 60,000 folks in central Iowa. So a little self-promotion never hurt. But on behalf of 1,300 employees, close to 200 members of our medical staff, and more than 400 volunteers, it's my pleasure to be able to kind of throw a few seams together in that video. The first is performance improvement, and that's Baldrige National Quality Award. We are the first organization in the state to receive a Baldrige site visit. We were recognized by the program for role model practices related to patients and other customers. And I think as a healthcare organization, that's probably about as important a thing as we could have. The Iowa Recognition for Performance Excellence uses the Baldrige quality criteria, and we were recognized as a gold recipient in 2018, the second time that we've received gold. We're the first organization in Iowa to receive gold in the second time. CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, gave us a 5-star rating for inpatient and outpatient care. You might say, okay, tell me more about that. The factors they look at are mortality, safety, readmissions, patient experience, effectiveness, timeliness, and efficient use of medical imaging. And to be a 5-star hospital puts us in the top 3 or 4% of hospitals nationwide. We highlighted our volunteers. Our volunteers do an awful lot for our community. In 2018, we supported the Iowa Games, we supported RAGBRAI, and Special Olympics. We provided over 90 first aid volunteers for Iowa Games, our 30th year of providing such support. Couldn't finish without highlighting the Crisis Stabilization Transitional Living Center, a partnership between the medical center, the county, and Central Iowa Community Services, our mental health region, located at 124 South Hazel, providing caring support services to persons with a diagnosis of mental illness, fitting into our continuum of care, providing services, crisis and transitional care in a less restrictive setting and a lower cost. In order to do that, we also employed our second psychiatrist in 2018. So really pleased to be able to share this report. Look forward to your questions. Time's up.
Thank you, Brian.
I'm not
Lois?
going to top that.
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
Lois.
Hello, and thank you to the league, thank you to the chamber, also thank you to the school district for providing this wonderful facility. So, in honor of the many local female leaders who have contributed to the success of all of these entities, I begin today's State of the County talking about the strides the county is making in creating gender-balanced boards and commissions. After concentrated efforts started last fall and continuing now to solicit qualified female candidates, we expect to be 100% compliant this spring, as we will fill vacant seats on the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Board of Health, and Veteran Affairs Commission. If you're interested or know someone who is, please contact one of us. 2019 brings a new county supervisor, Gilbert native Linda Merkin, a new chairperson of the board, and a new county treasurer, Colo native Ted Rasmussen. We are already creating connections with other elected officials, Auditor Lucy Martin, County Attorney Jessica Reynolds, Recorder Stacy Harridge, and Sheriff Paul Fitzgerald. And we expect to support the county's dedicated, enthusiastic, and efficient workers. You can learn about some of the priorities and projects we worked on last year by reading our 2018 annual report that are on the tables, and maybe they haven't been passed up and down yet. They range, though, from partnering with our mental health region and Mary Greeley to create a crisis stabilization and transitional living unit, to holding the first workshop on our assessment of the smaller watersheds in the county. This year, we will map out a plan and activate its first steps to keep our ecologically sensitive areas safe, improve the quality of our local lakes, ponds, creeks, and prevent contamination of those watersheds. Plus, we will likely fund a watershed coordinator and pass an ordinance setting stricter standards and controlling stormwater flow from our rural developments. And you may have heard that we are continuing to examine the effectiveness of the state's permitting process for confined animal feeding operations in relationship to Story County. Last winter, we hosted a workshop on the scoring, and next Tuesday evening, January 22nd at 7 o'clock, you're invited to come to Gates Hall in Nevada, where we're having a workshop on the master matrix and considering referendums possibly to go on the record formally with the state of Iowa and our elected legislators. That conversation is expected to attract about 300 residents. Walkers, runners, and bikers should have a couple new miles of paved trails to enjoy by this fall. There will be paving projects in a segment of the Prairie Rail Trail that is up by Ziering, and on a part of the Slater to Huxley segment of the Heart of Iowa Nature Trail. Plus, the county will open its park at the ISU Research Center, and the park includes a new paved trail that will hook up with the Heart of Iowa Nature Trail via a few miles on County Road R38. Our remodeled animal shelter is expected to host a ribbon cutting in late winter or early spring. We continue our commitment to fund community supports and individual needs for those who require help. We continue to seek collaboration and partners to resolve shortages of affordable housing and reliable rural transportation. Story County continues to be financially healthy with a projected ending fund balance and supplemental balance with about 25% of our annual budget contained in it. And this will be very good news as we enter into the 2020 fiscal year. We expect to need at least $3 million to pay for the county's portion of the $11 to $13 million price tag to create a new countywide interoperable radio system for law enforcement and first responders. Paying cash would drop our reserve funds below the required 25% of expenses, or at least where we like to keep them. Another option might be bonding for the $3 million. The county's general obligation bond debt retires this year. And finally, we may also decide to bond to pave 3 roads tied to economic and business growth areas, which would keep this debt service rate the same as it is now. I hope what you've heard assures you that the county's assets, the county's services, and the county's future are overseen by responsible, vigilant public servants and elected officials. On behalf of everyone, I thank you for giving us the honor of serving you.
Thank you, Loris. Jonathan?
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for coming out today for this important community event. And Dan and Becky, thank you for your leadership in moderating the event and the good work of you and your teams in pulling this together. Well, the condition of Iowa State University under President Winterstein's leadership is strong, and I think something for all of us to be proud of. She and I know that the university can only be strong when we have a strong community, and that the reverse is true. It's a great symbiotic relationship, and we make each other better for a fantastic place to live and work. I was talking to a couple last night who live in Green Hills, and that conversation just reinforced what we all know, what a wonderful community this is, and all of the cultural and intellectual opportunities that the university affords the community. Let me give you a few talking point updates on just exciting things that are happening on campus. I'll start with the most important thing, and that's our students. This year, I'm very proud to say that we have our most diverse incoming freshman class that the university has ever had. The enrollment of multicultural students is up 9% over the freshman class from last year. Today, 1 out of 4 students on our campus is either a multicultural student or an international student, and that environment creates a great learning opportunity for everyone. As a chief academic officer, I'm also very proud that we have our best prepared freshman class ever, as measured by the incoming high school grade point average of our students. So we're attracting high quality students. We're attracting diverse students from all 50 states and over 100 foreign countries. Our students succeed at Iowa State University in a way that is really exceptional. The selectivity for Iowa State University is what you would call traditional selectivity, measured by a certain admission criteria, but essentially if you're in sort of the upper half of your high school graduating class, you'll be admitted to one of the Regent universities. So based on that traditional selectivity, if we look at things like student persistence, if you start as a freshman, do you come back for the sophomore year? we're 13% better than you would expect, 13% better than the national average. If you look at graduation rates, we outperform by 20 percentage points other universities in the United States that have traditional selectivity. So students come to Iowa State University, they get an education, and I'm very proud of our 95% in profession. This is not working at Starbucks or McDonald's. Those are noble jobs to have, but these are in profession job placement, going to graduate school or serving our country in the armed forces. 95% of our students have that type of placement within 6 months of graduation. So very proud of what our students are accomplishing. And we develop academic programs at the university in response to what we believe working with our partners, working with the community, business and industry are going to be the jobs of the future. That's why we've created new degrees in business analytics. Our new cyber security engineering degree, one of the first in the United States, will go live this fall. Our new degrees in entrepreneurship and our new master's degree in real estate development are examples of new products that we think are really going to serve our students well as they go forward. Our new for us, our RN to BSN completion degree was really developed in partnership with President Denson and Brian Dieter and his team at Mary Greeley, and really represents an expansion of the type of programs we have, but really filling an important need for better educated nurses in our community. Turning to research, research is an important part of what we do at Iowa State University. We bring in over $245 million a year in externally funded research. These are dollars that come from companies, come from the federal government to fund salaries, to fund programs at the university. Those dollars in turn go back into the community. And I think it's an important point to note that that funding of our research program actually exceeds state appropriations to the university. So a lot of funding comes into this community through the entrepreneurship and innovation of our faculty. The mayor mentioned the research park, and that of course is another point of pride. We added 12 new companies to the research park this year: Kent Corporation, John Deere, Collins Aerospace. It employs 2,100 people, plus 450 students. Student interns working in the research park, and that relationship again is just wonderful for our community and for our academic mission. You might see a construction crane on campus. That big construction crane is constructing an $84 million facility, 145,000 gross square feet, that is called the Student Innovation Center. It will be a hub for innovation, for student entrepreneurship. We're building our brand of hands-on, team-based, project-based student learning that will really, I think, set Iowa State University apart from many universities in the country. So again, we really value this special, unique town-gown relationship that we have. It's not like this in every college town in America, and together we have really built something that we're very proud of. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Rob?
All right, it's great to be here. Had I known that Brian was going to load up a video, I'd have loaded up my version, my rap to Uptown Funk, but maybe next year, maybe next year. We're governed by a board of 9 volunteer trustees that run for public office every 4 years. Cheryl Langston is our trustee from Ames. Steve Goodhue, somewhere in the back, was on our board for a number of years and served as vice president. We're one of 15 community colleges in the state that work very well together as a team. We're known as one of the best community college systems in the entire United States. DMAC's enrollment is very strong. We served 36,000 credit students last year, 22,000 more non-credit students. We have 6 campuses throughout central Iowa, and the gold standard of partnerships between K-12s and community colleges is the Hunziker Center right here in Ames. Everyone has tried to copy it around the state, and no one's been able to duplicate its success, and I want to thank Dean Hunziker and his family for being the keys to helping that project get off the ground. We're doing a lot of things in the communities, and probably one of our major strengths is the fact that every one of our 250 programs, degrees, and certificates is backed by an advisory committee of the businesses that hire students out of those programs. That makes sure that we're extremely relevant to the needs of companies at the time they need to hire. And I'll talk more about workforce under one of the questions, but a few of the things that we're doing that are fun. Last year, the Transportation Safety Administration hired DMAC to do 2011, they hired us to offer a Homeland Security certificate for the screeners in the Des Moines Airport. We put it online in 2014, 2015. TSA gave us 4 more states to do. Well, last year there were 80 institutions of higher education around the country doing homeland security for their various airports. A TSA guy flies in from D.C., no advance warning, no RFP, nothing, summons us down to the airport and says he's so happy with what our criminal justice department is doing with our program that he gave us 36 states, 285 airports, 22,000 agents to train. They went from 80 schools around the country to 2, and DMAC got 75% of the country, and very likely we're going to pick up the other 25%. But it's really an exciting program, but it talks to the quality and the work ethic of our faculty and staff. Kosovo is a sister state to Iowa. They've got a consulate in downtown Des Moines. And the Iowa National Guard has been very active over there. In fact, our General Tim Orr, who is over there several times a year as we work with the Kosovo security forces. They've now hired DMAC to open up a vocational career academy in Pristina, the capital of Kosovo. They've got good universities, but very poor vocational technical training. They've also just given us a $600,000 grant. They're going to send 20 Kosovar women to DMAC beginning this coming fall to learn the energy trade. So they'll spend 2 full years here with us. Facebook makes the news too often, but they did hire us as the second college in the country to offer their Facebook digital marketing certificate. We were the second college they contracted with, but we're the first one to actually deliver that digital marketing certificate, and it's been extremely popular. Goldman Sachs, they've got a program called 10,000 Small Businesses. We brought in all the community colleges, and we started a cohort of 40 small businesses where Goldman Sachs pays for everything. They brought in Babson College, which has been ranked #1 in entrepreneurship in the country for 22 years in a row. They provide the curriculum. DMAC has the highest bond rating of any community college in the state. We've got the lowest property tax levy assessment of any community college in the state. We've got the lowest tuition and fees of any college or university. And in 2016, a group called Value Colleges, funded by the Gates Foundation, ranked us #10 in value of the 1,717 two-year programs in the United States. So we're very happy with what we do. We've got great partnerships all along this table here, and we believe that it's our ability to partner and the strength of our partnerships that make not only Central Iowa strong, but make us strong. Our #1 issue is workforce. Everywhere we go, every communication, every community we go into, it's workforce, workforce, workforce. And I'm going to talk during some of the other questions about Future Ready Iowa and some of the exciting things that we've got planned. So it's great to be here.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you to the rest of the panelists for your opening remarks. This is on me. As I introduced our elected officials, and I don't know how I could have missed him, we talked before the meeting started today. Please join me in welcoming from Ames, State Senator Herman Kornbach. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask a question. It's going to run through the panelists, and then Becky's going to ask a question, and then we're going to reach out to all of you and select a question from one of you for the panelists. So I'll get started, and my first question for Elisa is, what are the primary opportunities for each of your respective entities?
Well, I think I spoke about one of them, which is the high school, which is a great opportunity for us. The other thing I would say with the primary opportunity is looking through the lens of new leadership at our school district, and what a great opportunity that provides us to really look deeply at what are the programs and opportunities that we are offering at every level, and really to do a deep dive into that to identify what are the ways that we're making sure that we are keeping up with the trends in education to meet the varying, changing, and very difficult needs of our students. Education does not look the same today as it did when I was in school or when many of you were in school. And so really having the opportunity to have the fresh eyes of our leadership to really look at what we're doing to meet the needs of all of our students and how are we removing barriers so that they can all be successful.
I'm going to highlight 3. I talked about them in my opening comments, but first of all is the comprehensive plan. This is an opportunity for the community to really give input to council. We're going to rely heavily on this going forward as we go ahead and set direction. And it's going to, again, it's a decade and a half, 2 decades. The more people we get involved, the more of a cross-section we're going to see in the community. If only a few get involved, it's going to become more of a narrow focus. That's the first thing. 2 is I'm really excited about the working with ISU student government. They are extremely involved and very interested in getting involved in the community, and I think that's a change. and they want to participate, give back to the community, and so that opportunity to work together with them and council and the Senate met already once this year. We're going to meet again, so we got great dialogue. And last is the Healthy Life Center. You're going to hear this over and over and over again, but it is an opportunity. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We have all these partners working together that are committed to something which is really going to make us strengthen our community.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I think with regards to opportunity, one of the great things about participating in the Baldridge program is you get a feedback report, and the feedback report highlights opportunities for us. Really, I would encourage anybody who's in the audience or ever has thought about potentially considering that to get started. And one of the first things you can do is write an organizational profile, which is a 5-page requirement. And the Iowa Quality Center can help. We've got people we would gladly help. But that feedback report, one of the pieces that we see as sort of changing in our entire environment is, what are patients called when they're not patients? Are they people? Are they customers? Are they community? And what do we do with them? Because for 103 years, the hospital has basically said, you get sick, you get broken, we'll fix you, we'll mend you, and then go out and go do your other stuff. And the responsibility to take a greater role in lives and to reach out to folks before they're patients and after they're patients, and if they're never patients, and still find a place that we can deliver services to them. I think that's probably our greatest opportunity.
Thank you.
I think our greatest opportunity is actually a solid history for decades in the county of being leaders among counties in Iowa. We have 2 former county supervisors here, former Supervisor Jane Halliburton, former Supervisor Marty Chitty, each who have at their times with their boards have created innovative leadership and leading projects, whether it be geothermal, whether it be the watershed projects. We are the first, and we believe only in the state, to actually commission an assessment of our smaller watersheds. We also have leadership when it comes to our, what we lovingly call the COOP-COG, which is a continuance of government plan. So it is the history and the people, and that means we can lead in so many areas.
Thank you, Loris.
Well, I'll mention 3 opportunities in 20 seconds each. The first will be initiative that President Winterstein has spoken about frequently, and that is entrepreneurship, raising up education and programming in the entrepreneurship for our students. Iowa State has always done this, but it's done this way in this college, and this way in another college, this way in the research park, this way in the Papa John Center. How do we integrate that together to be even more impactful than we have been? The second area is really significant improvements in our business processes on campus, our HR management processes, our financial management, electronic systems, and how we're organized. We want to continue to be a model of efficiency so that we can put our taxpayer dollars and our tuition dollars toward academic programs. And so these changes we're making to our business processes will help us further our own quality and efficiency journey. And the third thing I'd mention is what we call strategic enrollment management. Again, looking sort of more holistically at enrollment. It's marketing, it's recruiting, onboarding new students, and making sure they stay successful at Iowa State.
Our greatest opportunity is work-based learning. More and more companies are coming to us now, being willing to hire our students as interns while they're going through college. The governors and the legislature are going to fund part of it with, we hope this year, with Future Ready Iowa. But more of our students need the opportunity to work while they're studying. We're going into the high school. Vermeer is now hiring high school juniors and seniors to work part-time during the day as they're developing a welding career, and then they go to work for Vermeer after they graduate from high school. AccuMold hires our students 20 hours a week while they're going through our tool and die program. They've gotten many, many students out of our program, and our students out there average over 100,000 a year. Shazam needed IT. They came to us. They're hiring our second-term freshmen full-time year-round paid internships, $21 an hour, crazy high. But they've got 144 of our students working in the West Des Moines office, averaging $90,000 a year. So this whole work-based learning, where more of our students are working for companies while they're going to school, is our greatest opportunity and our greatest opportunity to solve Iowa's workforce problem.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next question is from the League of Women Voters. It's, what are your preparations, if any, to help our community members who may be adversely affected by the financial consequences of this current government shutdown? And we will start with John. Mayor Hala.
That's a difficult question to answer. Brian?
I think the city should do a lot.
I was asked that question a week or two ago, and I don't have a good answer. That's a very good question, and I don't think that I really anticipated personally that it was going to go on this long. I think we're going to need to identify what the issues are, and but frankly, I don't think as a city have ever really taken money or resources and directly given those to people who are getting help. I know we do have people that get rental assistance. I think that if we start sensing that as a council, we're going to have to go ahead and talk about that. But we're going to look to staff first of all, and also determine the policy and see if what we can develop on that standpoint. But I'm not going to promise anything. But it certainly is a unique situation that we're sympathetic to, and it is causing some real plights for individuals. But at this point in time, I don't really have anything beyond that. Good question.
Thank you, John.
I would say the medical center is maybe a little bit better positioned in that we face patients who cannot pay bills on a regular basis. Our board has long established criteria that said fear of a medical bill should not be a deterrent for people seeking medical care. And as such, we have what I consider to be a very comprehensive financial assistance program. And we call it financial assistance, somewhat modeled after the university model, because we are a university town, we recognize that. The industry term is charity care. We don't use that term. We call it financial assistance. And we have a sliding fee scale based on income, and that can go as low as, or as great as a 100% write-off of amounts that are due. We also offer a catastrophic medical assistance, where we say that if someone's bills would exceed 25% of their annual income, we would never expect them to pay more than that. We haven't seen the pressures yet, but know that we are always open. Our emergency department always stands ready to serve anyone, regardless of ability to pay, and we administer that program in the tunes of millions of dollars every year of care that's provided at significant discounts or free.
Thank you. Lori?
Story County is a major funder of the asset or social services process. We're looking at a budget. We haven't had the discussion yet of maybe about $1 million we're planning to put in this year. So as it goes on, maybe we look at cutting in some other areas and shifting temporarily. Unfortunately, our largest part of our budget is public service, public safety, the county attorney's office. I don't know that we'll be able to cut there, but we can look at some other projects, et cetera, that could be delayed and shifted into more to the asset agencies.
Thank you.
Well, at Iowa State University, we continue to monitor this very closely and work with our federal relations staff on it as well. To date, the impacts of the federal government shutdown on the university have been relatively minor, but we are starting to notice them and are quite aware of them. A large component of our operations is the U.S. Department of Energy Ames National Laboratory, which we manage on behalf of the American people. Fortunately, the Department of Energy is funded through a separate federal bill, so it is unaffected by the shutdown, and the Ames lab continues in full force with all of its employees coming to work and being paid. We have many dual career couples on our campus, where somebody might work at the university, somebody might work in one of the USDA labs. It is definitely affecting those families, as well as the neighbors on my street, for families where both wage earners work for the federal government. For students, there is a slowdown in applying for federal student financial aid, the so-called FAFSA form and things like that. And graduate students who are supported on federal assistantships, and we are going to do our very best to take care of those students and make sure that they are held harmless.
Yeah, we have relatively small impact also. We're just making sure that we are not canceling any students' registration at the university or at DMAC based on inability to pay. You know, if they go to class at the end of the term, you know, we'll work with them to make sure that they can get their transcripts and move on. But we have very, very few students that don't pay their bills.
Thank you.
So, oh, excuse me, go ahead. Please.
Free pass on that?
Sorry.
That's okay. I think from the school district standpoint, really for us, it's an awareness. Our children are impacted by what happens at home, these adverse childhood experiences, and so certainly if this government shutdown has impacted things at home, our children will bring it to school with them. So I really think that it starts from, for the school district at an awareness, and also understanding that our staff may have spouses that are impacted by this. We certainly have programs that, with our backpack buddies and things that provide food for some kiddos over the weekends, that if we needed to expand, we would certainly entertain that opportunity as we support our kids and families through this.
Thank you.
Okay, if you have a question, please text it to 515-720-5305. It's on your screen in front of you as well. Since I don't have any questions from the audience, I'll go to my next one, and that is, how are your respective entities ensuring your organizations are as diverse and as inclusive as possible? We'll start this with Brian Dieter.
So I think that I was on the Chamber intercity trip to Columbia, Missouri, and I will tell you that was a moment of awakening for me, and have encouraged and participated personally in our first diversity and inclusion session here in town. And my major takeaway was that we may have been unintentionally coding language when we encouraged our staff to interview and help select based on fit. And so what we have committed to is a retraining of all of our peer interviewers with an eye towards introducing them to potentially their implicit bias and setting forth an initiative to ensure that they're aware of inclusion and the value of inclusion and diversity.
Thank you.
The county is not very diverse by the recognizable standards that you put on. And most people who apply for a job, therefore, at Story County are local, or they're coming from our central Iowa region. I have had this conversation a couple of different times with our HR manager and director of internal operations. She outreaches further, she cross-posts on more and more internet, uses more media, and still rarely are we able to get anyone who can check a box. We do, however, have, probably if you look at all the department heads, and I'm going to go back to gender again, women, you look at who are making the day-to-day decisions for the county, we have plenty of gender balance plus there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, of course, at Iowa State University, the priority of having a welcoming campus environment is really one of the planks of the university's strategic plan. Over the past year, President Winterstein has led the most comprehensive campus climate study that the university has ever undertaken, surveying every student and employee on campus. We learned a lot through that process. Some of it was kind of raw, but we learned a great deal. And the fact is, you can't improve in the area of campus climate unless you have data and you have facts to base your actions upon. Since that time, we have now spun up 4 work groups on campus, one directed at the work-life needs of faculty, one of staff, one of graduate students and postdocs, and the 4th work group is undergraduate students, and we are now developing specific actions in response to that campus climate survey. Also very excited by the partnership that we have with the Ames Campus and Community Commission. Pete Englund from the university partners with that commission, as well as our VP of Diversity and Inclusion, Reg Stewart. So that it really is an issue. It's a town-gown issue, really, for us, and a community issue that benefits the campus and Ames.
There are many diverse populations in Des Moines. We're engaged in nearly every one of them. We're heavy sponsors in all of their organizations and festivals and have tables everywhere. Again, making sure that these populations understand the opportunities for training and education and jobs in central Iowa. Our urban campus in downtown Des Moines is the most diverse college and university site in the state. 49% diversity, over 80 different cultures, 70 different languages. Very exciting place to go, but also our Southridge Center and our Perry Center have a lot of diversity, and we believe that the solution of Iowa's workforce problem, particularly in the short term, is going to be from the Latino community, and we work very hard there to engage more and more of them in training opportunities.
I spoke about our purposes and priorities in my opening statements, and one of our goals within the recruitment and retention of high-quality staff is this very thing, to really look at what are our recruitment efforts and what are the ways that we can improve recruitment and selection processes for our staff. It's very important for our students to be able to see themselves in their teachers, and so the recruitment of a more diverse staff is absolutely important for our district to pay attention to. We're also really trying to pay attention, as I said, our first priority is educational equity and improvement, and looking at what is our climate like within our schools, and what are the experiences every day of our kiddos, and how are we making sure that that is a positive, welcoming environment for them.
There's a number of ways they're working hard at this. First of all is the mayor has the privilege of appointing people to boards and commissions, and the council affirms them. And in particular, working on the Human Relations Commission, I'm pleased with the diversity we're building, both in gender but also in nationality. My goal is to have Hispanic, we have a Chinese, we have African American, one individual from LGBTQ+. Point is try and get that cross-section, because they're working on very, very important things. Then that's going to spread across all the boards and commissions to try and get parity, but also to get cross-section of our community. Secondly, council has directed the Human Relations Commission to review a broad range of data available from Iowa State, the school district, other organizations, to give us input on diversity and equity, and then looking at potentially making some changes to the city ordinance. I echo what Brian says, that the Chamber does a tremendous job of taking the lead on hosting a diversity and inclusivity seminar here in October. It was extremely well attended. I think it was close to 200 people. I was just overwhelmed by the intention of the community. And that we just need to advance that, to the next step. And then also working with Iowa State University. Dr. Winterstein and I have convened a new group, and it has met 2 or 3 times. We're in the infant stages, but trying to also look at how can we make people feel more welcome in the community through a variety of different ways, in the business community, as well as through events, and actually taking personal responsibility.
Do you have any questions?
Go. We're done.
Yeah. We will start with Laura's. And the question is, please talk about how your organization works to help solve income inequality of people living in Ames every day.
Living in Ames. We don't spend a lot of time focused on Ames as a separate entity. Probably closest would be the projects that come from, sometimes Forest for Economic Development or from the Chamber. 2/3 of our population, obviously, is from Ames. There's 1/3, however, that lives on the east of the interstate. And that's who we tend to interact with. That's who we tend to be the driving force with in helping them with economic development. So what do we do in addition for asset? Started looking at, can we expand the public transportation network? I went out and had some conversations with all of the city councils, with the exception of the Ames City Council, about asking for feedback about how might we financially help public create low-income housing. And remember anymore, there's low-income housing and there's starter housing, and people need both. So that's where our efforts are focused.
Well, I think at Iowa State University, we know that nothing improves the economic condition of a family and raises up a generation of people more than education. So really that is part of our land grant mission, is creating opportunity, financial opportunity and economic opportunity for people through education. Maybe more directly to the point of the question, I'm proud that we have such great participation by the faculty, staff, and students at the university in the annual United Way of Story County campaign, including leadership from the university in those efforts. We have mandatory financial literacy training for all students. Maybe you didn't know that, but for students on our campus, we have a basic financial literacy online training that every student takes. We have a financial counseling clinic that our College of Human Sciences offers community members to come in and learn basic budgeting and loan management skills. And these are some of the ways that we try to get some of the academic programming on campus out into the community.
We offer short-term training and financial assistance to anyone who wants to get into a good job in a relatively short amount of time. Last night, we're working with schools that have high levels of free and reduced lunch. Des Moines Public Schools, about 75% plus free and reduced lunch. Last night we held a meeting at East High for all the families whose children are on free and reduced to try to talk to them about the kinds of jobs they could get into in short time and the funding we have available to support them. I mean, we're reaching into these populations because we need more workers in the pipeline. So we're looking at every particular group that we can to entice them and encourage them to improve their lives.
So again, it comes to when the school district, we are working with the students who are having these experiences at their homes. So I would say one way is really trying to look at what are the ways that we're removing barriers for these students. Is transportation an issue? We post an event, well, transportation may be an issue for some of our families. One of the things that we've put in place, a family resource counselor at the high school has been incredibly successful in supporting our students there and looking at, is there a possibility that we could replicate that at all of our schools, so we have a point person there at that schools because we've got that individual contact with all of those kids on a daily basis, and what are the ways that we can provide those support to the students and, of course, the families.
The Story County is really unique from the standpoint we have what they call an asset, which the city this year will put in between $1.4 and $1.5 million, and actually you're helping pay through that through the 1 cent sales tax. Council did approve a 3% increase in that for the coming year, and it's not just city of Ames, but it's also the county, Iowa State student government. I think that Iowa State also contributes to that. I'm not sure, but the point is it gets distributed to a multitude of groups that really help people who are have income inequality. Secondly, we have a rental assistance program that is administered through the city. And the other thing is I've talked about 321 State, which is the old middle school, Tripp Street extension. The next stage of that is to work at developing some low and moderate income housing that people could qualify for and actually become homeowners in that location.
I'd say we have kind of if you bifurcate a little bit between patients and staff, and I would say with patients, recall that our partnership with primary health care ultimately brought primary health care here, a federally qualified health center that provides services primarily, but not exclusively targeted towards those at the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum. We also took an analysis of patients that frequently utilize our emergency department to try and find and redirect them to more effective, cost-effective, and quite frankly, better for them and their health options. With regards to staff, I would highlight our tuition assistance and loan forgiveness programs, subsidy of Cyride, emergency assistance for our staff who find themselves in financial difficulty, and paying a good wage and providing benefits is another key factor.
Thank you.
Okay, we're winding down here to our last question, then we want to leave plenty of time for closing remarks from our panelists. We'll start this with Provost Wickert. What makes effective communication difficult at your organization, and what are you doing to fix it? This is a question from the audience.
Great question. We're a big, complex organization, 35,000 students and 10,000 employees. We're sort of a decentralized institution as well. We really value the innovation that comes out of departments and colleges. So I think one of the challenges we have with respect to communication on campus is just the sheer size of the enterprise. But really, I think, one of the ways you foster communication is really culturally. So, events like this, having open door policies and the like on campus, and really making a concerted effort to listen. President Winterstein, as she became president of the university, embarked on a campus-wide listening tour. She went out to fraternities, she went out to sororities, to student groups, to departments, to clubs, to really listen to students, to listen to faculty and staff members in some of our affinity groups about what their concerns are on campus. So I think what really makes for effective communication is by listening first, rather than going into those conversations and speaking with the answer. And that's a culture President Winterstein has really brought to the university.
We figure we can improve communication best by watching how fast bad news travels through the campus and duplicate that with the good news. We go to each campus site every term for open forums for faculty and staff that attend. We have a new website called DMAC Forward, which is kind of our internal communication tool. But probably the best thing we've done is we've begun to create more campus or college-wide teams to address specific problems that the college has representing various areas, and getting more and more faculty engaged in the decision-making process, at least advising things up the chain, seems to have really helped.
Well, I think information exchange happens at such a rapid pace that when you have different entities that you need to make aware of different things going on within your organizations, it makes it really difficult. And so I think that as a school district, we continue to really try to focus on who are the different individuals that need to know about different things, and how do we make sure that we're trying to get that information to them. We are continually looking at it and looking at how can we make sure that we're improving. It is difficult in a school district because I know in my own family, kids may go home and tell parents one thing, and whether or not that is actually what is taking place, that's a difficult dynamic that we have to make sure that we continue to get in front of things with appropriate information and timely information.
Probably one of the most eye-opening events I was at was talking to a group from young professionals at Ames, and I asked them how many knew what a newspaper was. No, actually, I asked them how many read it. No one. Communication is morphing at a rate that is just unbelievable. We have print. I go on a radio station before every council meeting. We have cable TV broadcasts. We do Facebook Live for the city council meeting. We have Twitter. We have a Facebook page. We do email. And still people say, I didn't know about it. So it has to be a commitment by our community to be listening and being engaged, because we don't have the ability to individually walk to everyone's house and knock on their door and say, are you aware of that? And I'm not trying to be comical, it's just more or less, we have got to try and somehow provide it in such a way that people can really engage in it. And I was actually challenging the YPA, help us learn how we can best communicate with you. And the other thing is looking at, can we do broadcast videos, but it's pretty hard to explain a very complex issue in 280 characters or a 1-minute video. And so the point is that we are committed to that. We want to improve on that area, but we need your help to get the word out and to be working together. And the other thing, if I can have a little privilege, the other thing is that we need to have civil discourse in our community. And that includes social media. It includes face-to-face. I believe that we can accomplish anything we put our minds to if we stay positive and we look forward to things. But I'm very disappointed at times, and you probably know what I'm talking about, is that basically it's a trashing of City of Ames, or it's being critical, and it's not constructive. And so I'd urge all of us to set the standard and say, you know what, I'm not going there. We have a very, very good community. I'm endeavoring to lead that way. Our council endeavors to lead that way. And I just would ask you to help us, basically get the word out and be positive. I don't have a problem with disagreements. The point is that just because I may not agree with you doesn't mean I'm going to hate you. Our democracy depends upon good, honest, straightforward interchange and agreeing to disagree and still respecting one another. But it's in the country. It's being led at the national level. It's being led in different locations. But, my friends, we are in serious trouble if we can't talk about things and have a healthy discussion and disagree and still respect one another. And that's really, really important. And that's true for all projects. It's true as going on with the community. And the point is that we have people come to the council that aren't very happy. That's okay. But the point is we're trying our best to lead and help. You've asked us to do that. That's what we're elected to do. That's what we're trying to lead on. We're going to try and improve that. But it has to be a two-way street. It has to be us engaging. I believe we can do it. It's just a matter of being committed to doing that. So anyway.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry. Thank you for the privilege. I'll give it one last minute. So.
We've intentionally deployed a number of tools to improve communication, in particular our internal communication. We were pleased to see that on our most recent employee engagement survey, our employee opinion survey, action was taken as a result of last year's survey, reversed a 4-year negative trend and actually was up above national benchmarks. One of the things that we've committed to is transparency, which means we're going to tell folks what we can tell them, when we can tell them, and if we can't tell them, we're going to tell them we can't tell them. We use communication boards deployed throughout every department of the hospital. Departments utilize daily huddles where we say what went well, what happened that we needed to improve on in the last 24 hours, and as we look forward 24 hours, what troubles us. We utilize an online employee suggestion box and it's much more than just a suggestion box. It actually affords us an opportunity, a platform to manage suggestions, recommendations. Something like 70% of the over 3,000 suggestions that have been put in have resulted in change and action. We talk about that because we want to encourage folks to continue to do that. Sunday I will begin this quarter's quarterly updates. I do that 4 times a year. It'll end up being about 40 sessions, think town hall, town forum, and we answer questions unscripted at that. We've also invested significantly in leader development. This week we just concluded our 48th leader development session. We run those 3 or 4 times a year. There's a lot more.
Thank you,
Time's
Brian.
up.
So the question about communication comes to the communicator, right, last. So I agree with every one of my fellow panelists here. I will just make comment on a couple things that I believe we'll be doing this year. Up at the board table, to encourage civil discourse, I began addressing my fellow 2 supervisors as Supervisor Sanders and Supervisor Merkin. We had a very relaxed way of talking to each other up at the board table, and I think it showed sometimes. External communication starts with making sure our message is clear and timely, and when we know the community is talking about something, that we need to get ahead of that, and I think we still have work to do with that. I think that all of us on the board and our staff need to think about that. We as a board, I think, have a responsibility to make sure the message is the same throughout each one of our departments and flowing down in the correct way.
Thank you. Panel, it's now time for your closing comments. You have 1 minute, and we will start with Rob.
I love my job. These are exciting times. These are exciting times where every entity faces disruption, and we intend to be a disruptor, not disrupted. Future Ready Iowa, there's several good things coming out of that. First of all, it's identified 50 jobs that are in high demand in Iowa that, if funded, the state will help close the gap between what students can pay and what they need to have in order to get through these particular jobs. What we really need in Iowa, however, is better marketing to parents and students about the jobs that are available that we need to have, otherwise our companies will suffer and Iowa will be hurt.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for being here today, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak about our respective entities. You know, the Ames Community School District, we are in a great place, and I'm a mother of 4 students within the district, so I know I'm spread across 3 different schools within the district. But we are really addressing critical things within our schools, and we need to know that, and we need to address that, and we need to own it as a community. So, but I'm really proud of the way that our staff every day look to go and try to really reach, to get all of our students to reach all of their full of potential. And that means removing those barriers, and it means trying to figure out how that little second grader can get to his appropriate reading level, and making sure that our high school students, when they graduate, they've got the life skills and things they need to graduate. But we are expecting a lot of our schools these days, and we need to be aware of it, we need to own it, and we need to know that we have to make difficult decisions as we move forward.
Well, if you don't sense it, I'm absolutely proud and love our community. I just can't think of a better place to live, actually, in the United States. And just hearing the panelists, you know, our county, our medical center, the educational facilities are just, I think, second to none. I just want to thank you for the privilege of serving you as a mayor, and it is really an honor to represent you. I am passionate about us working together, being one-minded, and I really encourage you, one, to get on the city's website and become aware of the comprehensive plan. There's going to be a lot of pop-up meetings, there's going to be a lot of different public input meetings. It is your opportunity to really shape it, and we're actually going out to the Iowa State University student government and encouraging them to also get engaged. Think about it, you can actually shape the alma mater city where you came from by giving input, and we want to hear from them because they're half of our residents. And the last thing is a Healthy Life Center. Please become fully informed of all the facts, all the data before you come to conclusions. It is an outstanding opportunity. It's a partnership which is unheralded. There's 6 partners that are committed to it. On January 31st, we're going to have a update on where we stand fundraising-wise, but please don't jump to preconceived conclusions or just believe what someone else is saying. Explore it, understand it, and then make your decision.
We have a fabulous medical center here in town, and we're not done yet. We continue to grow, we continue to challenge ourselves, stress ourselves, seek external validation of what we're doing, and find opportunities. The biggest thing that we get out of the Baldrige program is a feedback report that tells us, here are your strengths, celebrate those, here are your opportunities, address those. The ability to discover blind spots that you don't know, and that is a fantastic piece. Our challenges, I really was kind of hoping we were going to get to the challenge question, and I would have gone way over my time. They are numerous, they are many, but we are ready. Our campaign said we were ready. We're ready for you. We're ready to help people in and around our communities live better lives, be healthier. Yes, if you get sick or broken, we will help fix you back up. But we're interested in doing so much more than that. I think our second century looks very, very bright. Pleased to be at the helm of the medical center, and certainly pleased to be invited to participate with you all today.
I need to make a clarification on something Mayor Hala just said. The Life Center is in the conceptual phase, and the county has sent a staff member to participate in those discussions. I believe it would be premature to say that the county is committed to funding it. There's been no vote, there's been no discussion at the board table. So moving onward here, okay, I went back and did a little math calculations, and there have been 86 configurations of boards of supervisors here throughout the county's 100-plus years, okay? And each one has brought their own personalities forward, had different chairs, and still the county has moved forward. And that is because of the residents, it's because of the staff, it is because of those leaders who have come in. And I believe that everyone at the county continues to be committed to creating expertise and efficiency when it comes to delivery of service, and being good stewards of your tax dollars. So once again, I'll say on behalf of all of the people that work for Story County, thank you for allowing us to serve.
Well, usually when I get an email from a student, it's about a problem. But yesterday I got an email from a student who just graduated, a student I knew pretty well, and he had a really kind of rocky end to his personal life as he was finishing up his studies at Iowa State University. But he did finish up. He graduated. He sent me an email to let me know that he just started his new job, that he and his wife have a newborn son, and he's excited about his future. And he just wanted to write me and let me know that, and that he's a Cyclone for life, and that he's grateful for everything that happened on Iowa State University campus. And it's messages like that that really reaffirm the difference that a major research university like Iowa State University can make in the lives of individual people. We're a big, complex organization, but at the root of it, we are people, and we should all be very proud of the difference that we're able to make in the lives of young people. I really want to thank you all for coming out. I mean, the word you probably heard most commonly up here was the word partnership. Great partnership among our organizations with you, and I wish you all a warm and safe weekend with all the snow we're getting. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for co-hosting this with the League of Women Voters. They put a lot into this, did a lot of work in organizing, so thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
And I'd like to thank the panel for your service to Ames and Story County, and also thank you for taking your time to come to this event. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate all of you, the audience, so thank you for attending, and have a great weekend. Stay warm.
Nice job.
Take care.
Great.